Hello and welcome to Friendship Focus. My name is Errin Stegich. I'm a local historian here in the Detroit metro area. And today we're picking up with part 2 of Eddie Rice's story and his experience in the Vietnam War and the Tet Offensive. So Eddie, let's pick up where we left off. You went into the Army 1966, you were shipped over to Vietnam 1967, and then a very significant event happens in January 1968, right? The Tet Offensive.
Yes.
Tell me about your experience in the Tet Offensive.
In the Tet Offensive, we was moving up to the Quan Tree Providence, and Sergeant Joseph Agatha and the colonel, they got a lot of artillery fire and ground fire, and we lost them. And from there, that was during January, and after January, we was moving on up to Quezon, to the fences where the Marines were at in Quezon. But then they started bombing, and they were bombing, and they were bombing, and so
Relentlessly.
just relentless. I don't know whether they call it archlight or rolling, one of the two, one or the other. But they bombed until around about January, February, March. So March, we was going into Quezon, and what happened was that they came and got me in a chopper and said I had emergency leave, and I was wondering where was I going. So they said the Red Cross was sending me to Mobile, Alabama to bury my dad. And I said, what? I said, I don't know anything about my father, because my mother, she never told me anything about my father and my dad. And a matter of fact, not any of my people that was in Mobile, Alabama.
So this was a complete and utter shock to
It
you.
was total shock. So back then, when I got to Cameron Bay, I think 707 Boeings, they was the workhorse during that time,
Right.
taking veterans back and forth, you know. But so I can remember being on the plane. I sat way in the back of the plane, and all the other GIs was having this a good time. They was laughing. They had these little miniature bottles of Jack Daniels and all this. They was having a good time. And one of the stewardess, she looked back at me, and I was actually weeping. I was crying, and she came and she said, "Why are you so sad? You should be happy because you're going
getting
home."
out of there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said, "Ma'am," I say, I'm going to a place I've never been. I'm going to bury my daddy that I never seen. And she said, "Oh, Mike," she said, "Let me," and so she came back with 2 bottles of Jack Daniels in the
So you got to one up them.
So I had that. So, you know, so when I got to Mobile, Alabama, and they were waiting for me at the airport, I can remember my Aunt Lula, my granddaddy, my cousin, they was pointing at me. "Oh, that's my nephew, that's my grandson."
And you had never met these people?
Never. I left there when I was 2 or 3. I can't remember. I can kind of remember some of it when I left, but
But they're not in your present memory.
no,
Right.
they weren't. But they know me, and they said, "That's Mike." And I wondered, they know my name Mike because my granddaddy named me Mike, but I had my surname was Eddie B. Rice Jr. for my dad. For some reason, him and my dad didn't get along at that time. For some reason, with my mother, and my mother didn't get along, so that's probably why I never found out. But anyway, when I got there, they was telling me, "You got to bury your dad." And so my granddaddy was the only one that would help me. And they had this Air Force base there, and they had other places because my daddy was a World War II veteran. And I was asking how he died. He said he had a plate in his head from an injury or something, but I didn't know. But I couldn't get no help from nobody to bury my dad. And so
Why do you think that was?
the people there was, I never seen people just, you know, their demeanor and intolerant. They didn't care about him, you know, and didn't care about us, me and my granddaddy, and I was in uniform. But I think my granddad, we finally But my aunt told me, said, your daddy got an insurance papers because he showed it to me with your name on it, but we couldn't find it. So my granddaddy, by him, he was a deacon in Ainwell. They got money raised up, and we got my daddy buried. And so in a pompous grave, I remember Johnson and Allen Funeral Home buried my dad, and he was in a pompous grave, and they gave me the flag. My mother was there.
Did they give him the signaling and the shoot and the firearm?
None of that. None of that. He didn't get. It was a pompous grave with old cans and weeds and stuff there, but they gave me the flag from Johnson and Allen Funeral Home. And so at that time, we left, and my Uncle Roosevelt, he was taking me around to see other kin folks. I got a chance to see my grandmothers on my daddy's side. That's the first time her name was Miss Cleve Buchanan. And I seen my grandmother
For the first time.
First time, had a chance to talk with her. And then he was taking me around. We had went out in the country somewhere and to a house where it was so many people. It looked like they was just crazy. They were running back and forth. He was trying to tell them who I were, and they weren't listening. And he just said, son, come on, let's go. So on the way back, we driving back, and he stopped at this building. And he said, son, just wait right here. I'll be right back. So he gets out the car and runs around the back of this building. By me being from the city, I'm thinking he's going to a bathroom or something. You know, then I looked up at the building. It was a restaurant.
And you're wondering, why is he going through the back door?
Why? Yeah, because I thought so I went in the restaurant.
Through the front door?
Through the front door. And when I walked in there back then, they had coffee where you can get it and pour it yourself. And the lady looked at me and said, we don't serve y'all in here. I said, what? She said, we don't serve y'all in here. And she took the cup I had and took it and threw it in the trash can. And I started getting upset. I said, ma'am, I just came here to bury my dad. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I'm gonna have to go back to my unit. And I said, why is this? You know, then I kind of raised my voice, and the other boys in there was getting up out of their table. Yeah, they started getting up. I guess my uncle heard it, because I see him come run. He ran through that door and grabbed me and say, son, he said, I got to get you out of here, because you're going to get both of us hung. I said, oh, my God. So I didn't know about that.
You had no idea what segregation was like, or never experienced it before in your life?
Not like nothing, you know, because I was raised in Saginaw. We didn't have no stuff like that. We lived together. We worked together. We ate together. We played together. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my life. I didn't know. And so my mother and my little wife, when I told them about it, they wanted me to come back home. They didn't even want me to go back to Vietnam. And I almost gave in at the airport. I was finna change my ticket over to go to Michigan.
Instead of returning to your unit.
And my granddaddy got a wind of it. He said, what y'all doing? So y'all gonna get that boy killed. You better let that boy go back to his unit. And so I got back on the plane and went back to Vietnam. And when I got back to Vietnam, it's on my DD-240. It was latter part of March, and I was 3 days late.
Arriving back with your unit?
Mm-hmm. When I got back to the base camp, I think it was either LZ English, but I don't know exactly, but they had a company commander. He was a black captain. And I talked with him. He told me, you're 3 days late. He said, I'm going to have to give you an Article 15. He was telling me he's going to give me an Article 15 and take some of my pay. Because the first sergeant had put me up for sergeant. Because once you go to Vietnam, I was spec 4 as soon as I hit the ground, because I was already PFC when I got there. By the time your foot hit that ground, you automatically get promoted. Mm-hmm. So I had almost been there a whole year. And I was getting a promotion to be a sergeant, or Spec 5. So anyway, I'm trying to explain to him why. And I was only son too, and my mother and them was trying to keep me, and I'm trying to deal with that, and then deal with the other stuff that had happened to me, you know, in the restaurant, you know. And so he sent me put me on the chopper, and he sent me to, it was Quezon. He sent me, he said, I'm gonna send you back out to your unit. And he sent me to Quezon. I can remember when that chopper land, it was big craters everywhere. Some of the craters had water in it, big old craters, like big as this room. And I'm walking, I'm asking other troopers,
What happened?
well, yeah, where's the 5th of the 2nd? And they was tired. You could look at them, they was tired. Some was had their head down. I'm going and asking everybody, where's the 5th of the 7th headquarters? Anybody know? Didn't nobody know. And I went on, kept going around, and it was this hill. I got to a hill, and I looked down at this hill, and these choppers was coming in. And on that landing strip, it was covered with ponchos. And when the chopper come in, it would blow them up, and they had tags on their toes, nothing but soldiers. And that just broke.
These are your company men laying there.
Some of them was, some of them probably from us, because we had the 5th of the 2nd, 7th, the 2nd of the 7th, and the 1st of the 7th. I was the 5th of the 7th, but I seen all this, and so First Sergeant caught wind of it, and he sent another chopper out there, and they had some guys looking for me, and they got me on another chopper, and he brought me back. You said, you can't send him out there. You said, his whole unit got wiped out.
Your whole unit got wiped out while you were
I was in Alabama.
Burying your father.
Burying my father.
How many men were in your unit?
Well, it was like, most of them was officers. From the colonel, we had 4 operators. We had majors, colonels, captains, lieutenants. That was it. Headquarters.
So all officers.
It's command post.
Right.
Headquarters is a command post. It's about 7, 8 guys, maybe 10 at the most.
But they were all gone by the time you got back.
All gone. Every one of them.
What did that do to you mentally?
It hurt it. It hurt it because when First Sergeant told him, he said he's the only sole survivor of his unit. And I just felt numb. And I thought about it. I said, Lord, it got me one time when I was on LZ Coke that night when I seen that somebody came to help me.
Right.
And I blinked out. When I blinked out, I heard him just say, don't be afraid, I came to help you. And I just went out. And I didn't come to myself till the colonel hit me on the back and telling me to come out the hole and look at the war. But yeah, so that was twice that my life was saved for some reason or another. But anyway, then in April, when I was back at the camp, LZ English, or one of the two, I think it was LZ English, where company was at the rear command. And then he broadcast that Martin Luther King had got assassinated in April. And so I stayed around, and they worked me on they let me do the switchboard, which was Skyboat. So I worked the switchboard until May, till my D-Rose time to got out. And when I remember getting out, they told me that you better catch your chopper because it's going to get out.
If you're going to miss it, you're going to be stuck.
You're going to be messed up. And I can remember I got on that chopper so fast, and I got on the plane, that 707. We were 30,000 feet up in the air looking at the ocean. And I said, wait a minute. I had left everything. I left my bag. I had a camera with pictures. I had stuff.
You just left it all behind because you were so anxious to get out of there?
I was so anxious to get out. Then I had relics because by me being a radio operator, I also had an extra radio operator in my bunker, me and O'Connor. And we would call, after my watch, I would call the companies and ask them what do they need. Because I knew the supply sergeant. And I would ask them, what y'all need? And they would tell me they need some dry socks. They need some more fatigues. They need water. They need this. They need that. I write all this stuff down. And
so you were the inside guy. You
I
were
was
the guy to know.
I was the inside guy because I knew the
supply
sergeant. Me and him shot dice together at the time when I first came there. He was from Chicago. He was a nice guy. and I knew him. So I got them everything that I could, and then I even got some hot chow sent to him one time.
Hot food.
Hot food, and my voice was strong. It carried, and when they would come, pull perimeter guard and coming back, get ready to go home, they would try to find me. They would bring me souvenirs. I had a big Bowie knife. They had gave me a pistol with the pearl handle. I had one of them belt buckles with the red star. They was giving me all kinds of stuff because they liked me to go, because I was trying to get them everything.
Because you were trying to take care of them.
I was taking care of my
people.
people.
Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah, taking care of them. I was taking care of them. But that's how all that came down. And from there, when I got home, I can remember landing in Fort Lewis, Washington, and all of us just laid down and kissed the ground.
Happy to be home.
Happy to be home. It was an amazing sight. And it's so particular when we went through the Deros, and there was a guy there, he told me that, he said, you got hypertension, you got a nervous disorder, and your blood pressure up, and your heart rate is fast.
So now you have all these medical
I
conditions.
got all these conditions, and he said,